Hey everyone, Sean O'Connor here from Macabre Daily. I am with novelist and screenwriter and person who is the top of my furious list right now, Joshua Hall. I was just yelling at Joshua before we hit record because I asked him what he has against me getting a good night's sleep. I finished 8114, or do you prefer 8114, right?
I don't. It's really whatever. It's easy. I've called it 8114 my entire life, so it's like that's what it is for me.
It's
But for everybody else who has not lived there or visited yet, which they will soon, it is probably 8114.
Well, you know what? I don't even know why I'm having this moment. I grew up in Queens and no one said the four numbers like I just did, like a weirdo. It was
Yeah,
always like 2617, 4218,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But I finished the book and I told Joshua that I loved it and I really did, but man, I paid a price. You you tormented me. This is honestly one of the scariest books I have read in recent memory.
Oh wow,
And let's
thank you.
just get into it. I'm so curious and I have to know immediately, where did this come from?
Yeah. So 8114 is the house I grew up in. It's a real property. It's a real place.
Oh, I saw the picture. You sent it to
It's
me.
five. It's like 5 minutes down the road from me right now. It's there. I lived there from probably first grade until, gosh, I was almost 20 or something like that. So I lived. So my family and I lived in that house. I grew up in that house. It was always spooky as hell, scary as hell, haunted as hell. Never really thought more about it other than it was scary. It's creepy. It's on the verge of crumbling, but somehow it's still standing after all this time, and it's been abandoned probably for gosh, I want to say almost a decade at this
It
point. Like
refuses
nobody,
to die.
yeah, it's still like and it's there. It's just there watching. But so it was always a place that was creepy. It was always a place that had meaning to me and to my family. But where the novel actually started, because for years a lot of old friends and people would ask me if I was ever going to write anything about the house or I should make a movie out of the house. And I was just always like, hell no. I don't, if I don't have to go back there, I will not go back there. Not like in the typical way of like, I'm not going back home. I was just like, no, I don't want to go back in that fucking
Not stepping
place
on that
at
property,
all.
damn it.
Right. And, but I had this nightmare, a few years ago, and it was the exact premise of the book where one of my good friends in real life killed himself in my dream at the house. And it was haunting as hell. It was scary as hell. I woke up. I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
Hadn't thought about that house probably at that point for a little while. And I immediately wrote down the early premise of guy's old friend killed himself at the house, has to go home and see it. And so that's really where it started. And then the more I dove into it, I mean, I fell on the podcast element really pretty early.
Okay.
Like very, very, probably within the first couple of days of having the exact like that dream, writing it down, and then I had that premise was pretty much first week from the idea go, and then I pitched it to one of my older brothers who was very like, don't write that book, but write that book. He was like that's terrifying, but and so yeah. So it came about a nightmare that was the scariest dream I've ever had, and I set out to match that horrific energy in the book. Like if I could make anybody feel like I felt in that dream, my job was done. And so yeah, that's where it came from. It was a nightmare.
We were
Yeah.
just kidding around before I hit record too that this is like a literary virus. Now Joshua's giving it to me. I'm gonna write the review for Macabre Daily. I'm gonna spread it to our
Spread it. Yep.
readers. I'm so excited for you because the book comes out on the 26th. So
Yes.
next Tuesday, the book comes out. I think it's going to be a really exciting time for you. You're going to have to explain yourself, sir. Everyone like myself is going to say, where, what, how? because the without spoiling anything, and you know what, let me do my job, as a reviewer. Let me explain what the book is about. And you've done a great job so far, Joshua. So we've got Paul Early as a podcaster. He's a little disgraced in the beginning, which, by the way, being a former podcaster and just about to relaunch the new podcast for Paper Cuts from Macabre Daily, everything you said about podcasting hit home. It was shameful and accurate. It was so
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry
accurate.
about that.
Oh, you nailed it.
I guess half of it's going to be apologizing to you. I think.
I felt seen, and I don't know if that was a good thing because Paul's a complicated character, which honestly is one of my favorite things about the novel is how layered your characters are. They're certainly not two-dimensional. These characters come to life, and and no spoilers, they come to death, and then they come to life being dead, and it's just
I mean, we can we
oh,
can we can get into a little stuff. I'm not too worried about spoilers. If there's things you want to get into about that, but like also at the same time, like
well, I
I
want
totally
people to
get.
buy this damn book though. I
Me too. Me too.
So let me just sum up the summary real quick. So Paul gets called home by his one of his best friends, Matt, and raised his home kind of middle of the night kind of thing. There's a lot of urgency to it, which I really loved. The book
Mhm,
itself is very kinetic and frantic in the
mhm,
best way possible.
mhm.
I mean, I think your background as a screenwriter lends itself perfectly to the pace of the novel because man, when we get going, I mean, it's like your hair is like this because you just don't stop.
Right. Right.
We come to learn that Paul's they're kind of like the Three Musketeers.
Yep. Yep.
His other best friend Kyle has unfortunately committed suicide in 8114, his old house. And Paul, being the podcaster that he is, gets a little nugget of an idea and is like, you know what? Maybe we can investigate why a family man with a loving family and really had everything going for him would go into my old bedroom and essentially blow his brains out.
Yep.
And there we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm taking you on you're going on the road show with me to sum up the book. That was way better than I would have done. I would just be like, it's about a shitty guy who, falls into a myth. No, no, it's like you're going.
I come cheap. You can pay me in beer. We'll work out
Perfect.
all the
Perfect.
details later. But
Perfect.
man, I mean, there's so much more to the book. That's
Yeah.
just the bare bones of it, and
Yeah.
you layer in all these fascinating characters. And it's kind of like Paul does a trip down memory lane, and in the wake of that journey, it's just horror and chaos and devastation. And I'll leave it there
Yeah.
because I've
Yeah.
got a big mouth, but the reader is in for such. Oh man, they are in for gut punch with this one.
I think so. Yeah. 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 I think so.
Okay,
Definitely. Yeah.
let me ask you some questions here, just so we can flesh it out.
Let's go for it.
Were there ever times where you're chapter 7, 8, 9? I mean, you're really in the zone and you're cooking. Were there ever times with the the set pieces and the plot points that you have and what happens within the novel where you were like, man, this is too much. This is too much.
Um, yeah, yeah. So, those first 8 chapters were basically the obviously the first thing I like sat down and wrote like straight through kind of those first 8 chapters. That's what was initially sent to Clash. Nothing really changed through that point, but um, it was like even like when I sent the pages to Lisa over there, and I was and they, she, so this was 22, so she was fresh out of a pregnancy, right? She had just had their baby, and I was like, oh, I was like, maybe don't read it right now, like I don't want like the decision to be made off. And she was like, well, why? And I was like, it gets pretty intense, especially like like if like like parents are going to be upset probably about some things in the book. I think a lot of people are going to be upset, but that's the point. Like that's the goal, right? Not the goal, but like that's the idea behind this universe and this world. And so I did get a little, oh, should I pull back? And then, like you said, it was going at such a, it goes so fast, right? Because
Yeah.
and um, for a for a long time, once he goes to the historical museum and he starts that podcast, that
Love
interview
Nancy,
with,
by the way. Love
yeah,
Nancy.
yeah, Nancy's cool, Nancy's rad. But so once he starts the thing with Nancy, that was initially going to be this huge other, what I call my John Langan the fisherman moment, where it was going to be, it was
Oh,
going to go all the way into like the how when Pendleton was founded by Thomas Pendleton, right? It was going to go through the whole history and
okay.
everything that sort of bled into what has happened to this town and this land, especially the land that 8114 was on, and all these things. That was the initial plan. So like first part was going to be Paul coming home, middle part was going to be the history of Pendleton.
Okay.
Then we were going to catch back up with Paul once that. But to me, it slowed everything down. It slowed the pace, it
I
slowed
could
the
see that.
story, it
Yeah.
slowed the chaos, and it slowed. And I had to remind myself, I'm not telling Pendleton's story. I'm telling Paul's story, and I'm telling the 8114 story. And the only things that matter with that are and we're stuck with Paul, right? This is Paul's POV. And so we can only see and know and learn what Paul is wants us to learn, but also what is Paul willing to let us know, right? And he's a very he's not the greatest human, or he has some flaws, I think,
He's
as they say.
complex. Yeah.
Yeah, he has some flaws. And so I had to really think about that, and it did go into some conversations with some of my trusted people, like my brother. I was like, do you think it slows it down? Do you think it? And it was very much, let's just go, let's cut that whole. And so it really was sort of the Nancy thing took on a life of its own for a minute, and then it really took on a life of its own with how it plays out in the book. And so yeah, so I just had to tell myself, listen, I kind of arguably just wrote the sweetest book that I could with mouth, right? And like this is such a sweet, heartwarming, nice book. People are like, oh, it's so nice and kind. And then I was like, so I already did that. Like people know I like. So I was like, my whole point here is I really wanted to write a scary book and a horrifying book based off of things that I know and have experienced. And so that was when I realized, when I was like, you know what, 10-year-old Josh in those barns experiencing some of this shit. Like this needs to be sort of relayed. Like this needs to, it happened to me,
Yeah.
or experiences like that, And so I just really kind of decided, not only am I not going to hold back, I'm gonna go further, I'm going to push in some of those scenes, like the end, again, not to spoil anything, but it was really, am I going to do that to some of those characters? And am I going to do it in such a brutal way? Because a lot of these people are based off of like my friend, like these are
Yeah.
all like, and so I was like
You're
very
killing your
much like,
friends.
I'm killing a lot of people, killing a lot of people. Like when my brother read the books for the first time, he was like, "You killed mom." I was like, it's not our mom, like it's
Hey,
a
mom.
version of mom. It's so, but he was like, I still can't believe you killed mom, and I was like, I did it, like I was like, the house did, like no spoil, and I guess that's not a spoiler. That's kind of there. But yeah, so it was just very much, I'm gonna go for it, right? And like, and the worst thing a creator can do is I think hold back on. Am I doing too much? Am I going too far? Because it's like I'm not. Again, I'm not worried about that, because if it is too far, you can go do mouth, or you can go read plenty of other books that do not go far, right? And but for me, in this story, in that character, in Paul Early, things go far, and they have to go far because that's who he is.
That's oh, you absolutely nailed it right there.
Yeah.
That's who he is. There are no
Mm-hmm.
measures with Paul.
Mm-hmm.
he's an all or nothing guy,
Yep.
to the detriment of relationships, to the detriment of, himself, to the people that he loves. I mean, he is driven, and it's kind of like he's myopic. It's just
Hmm.
tunnel vision of,
Yep.
and sometimes when I was reading it, I'm like, I'm not even sure Paul knows what he's driving toward. It's just the compulsion
Yep.
of, he's a shark. It's just forward motion, and it makes for a very interesting
There's something to
character.
figure out for him, right? He doesn't know what he's supposed to be figuring out, even though he should be looking in the mirror and figuring himself out, right? And that's the thing, is he's so blinded by just, he doesn't even want the answer, probably, right? Like he, and this is the thing, is like, does he really want to know what happened to Kyle, or is he just trying to drum up more podcast numbers,
Yeah.
right? Like, does he care about all these people in his life and the past, or does he not? Does he just care about what's going to help him move past this hump of this show?
You get the feeling that Paul is running, running, running away from the past experience with Adam Benny,
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
just like, I can't stop. I got to get distance from it.
Yep.
And he just charges headlong into a waking nightmare.
Yep.
And it just, some of the deaths that you have in this novel, we'll get to that in a second, but I want to go
Yeah. Yeah.
back to what you said about the Pendleton aspect. I agree with you
Mhm.
100%. I would have loved to have read it, but it would have slowed down the
Mhm.
narrative, and it would have been fascinating, but you would have hit that wall, gotten through it, and then it's so hard to pick it up on the other side. But I hate to give you, I hate to put another book in your lap, but that's a book right there, Joshua. That's a book right.
Yeah, it is, but it's at the same time, it's like, it's all true story. If anybody wants to know about the true stuff that happened in Pilsen, they just look it up. Like, you find it. Like, there's books and stuff all about, like, especially the Fall Creek Massacre. There's like 3 or 4 books out there about everything that happened in the park right over here. And there's things but yeah, there's definitely, there's more stories in this universe, probably, for sure. And I think that's kind of teased at the end. I think there's uh more out there, but it's just, do I want to do that? I don't know. But
I
there's
mean,
definitely, we
I
leave it we
won't
leave it
meet them.
open. Yeah.
You go to hell, sir. You got me once. Shame on me.
You're not coming back
No,
for 8115. You're
get me
not coming
twice.
back
Shame
for
on me.
8115. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, of course I will read.
8115 can get fucked. That's what. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll read
Yeah.
anything you put on paper. I promise you. You have me for life now, whether you want it or not. All right, let's talk a little bit about just some of the themes that are in the novel, because this isn't just a scare factory, which it very much is. There are absolutely some deep themes in here, especially about relationships. Paul is very cavalier with the relationships that he has, but on the other side of this, you have Kyle and Matt and Megan. I mean, even the chief, even Chief Allen. You know, these are people that are caring and kind of caught in this tumultuous storm of 8114. I mean, it
Mhm.
is an entity unto itself, and it
Mhm.
affects everything that is happening in the story. And they're just kind of unwilling participants. And then you add Paul to the mix, who is like, instead of run away, he's like grabbing them by the collar and like, no, man, come on in, come on in. So
Yeah.
give me a little bit about how you fleshed out the relationships. And I'm getting the feeling that you did, rely on personal experience and personal
Mhm.
relationships. But just if you can just give me some of that.
So I think so. To sort of give it a more of a, I was writing this in Mouth at the same time.
Oh,
They were sort of happening. Mouth came out first, obviously, but I was writing both of these relatively at the same time. I was also at the time going through a divorce, a rather tumultuous divorce, and so Mouth was my view of how I saw the world and myself through a lot of just heartache and drama and problems and just in the darkness of, like, the world, right? Like, how there's always,
it's a beautiful novella, though.
oh, thank you. That was the point. And it was like, to like, even in our hardest times where we feel like maybe we're a monster or we're alone and we don't have anybody, like there's always hope. And there's always, now on the other hand of that, my approach to 8114 was what if all the negative stuff being said about me or the situation or the world, like what if that darkness consumed you? And what if you were so wrapped up in your own world that you couldn't even take a second to think about all the damage you were doing to all these other people, like to little bits here, to little bits here, to people you haven't even spoke to for 20 years, like, and that was the thing with Paul was, um, this person is, I don't like to call Paul an asshole, right? Like, I don't like to call him but I had when I was writing the book, I had a note taped above where I write, and it said, do not trust Paul early. He is not a good person, regardless of what he tries to tell you. Right. And like, and that was just guiding me as a writer. Like, hey, I like Paul. Paul's like getting a bad rap. Right.
And then you created him.
Yeah,
you want to love him.
Yeah. And I'm like, he's not a bad guy. And I'm trying to like explain like what he's doing, and then you're like, oh, maybe he's not a great person. But like, and so there's a lot of that goes in. So there's the personal aspect of what I was going through writing both of these things, and obviously 8114 carried in, like the writing went longer, obviously. The whole process journey has gotten a lot longer. And so there's that. There's the personal aspect of my friends and basing it off of, I've lived in Pendleton essentially my entire life.
Right.
And so I'm putting pieces of my heart into this story, pieces probably more so than I should, be way more open, would be way more, a little more showy offy of like this beautiful place that I like to call home. But at the same time, like it's like, it's not perfect. No, yeah. Nothing's perfect. Right. And every place has a bad thing or a bad history or a dark history. And sometimes if you have a dark history, they put a rock in the middle of the town that celebrates hanging people, and that's what this has. And so it's very weird. But at the same time, it's like, it's just an echo of our country where we celebrate like the darkest shit. And it's so, and then you put that hand in hand with podcasts and how some podcasts cover really dark shit. Right. And those are the ones that blow up the most, or these grim. And so putting all that into a simmering pot was just sort of this way to look at and question sort of how we all view history, ourselves, and these crimes of passion and these things that can like just throw off so many things. And that was really what some of these themes were. Also, there's themes of like, selfishness and greed and all of that stuff play into it. But those were the main things, was looking at and putting all that into a pot and letting it all kind of simmer together.
I'll go to bat for Paul. I will, because I want to.
That's gonna come to haunt you when this book comes out. They're gonna be like, "What did he say? He's sticking up for Paul early."
Son of a bitch talking about.
Yeah.
But there's a kernel of earnestness in him. There really is. He has these moments where he's trying to do the right thing for the right reason. And then it almost immediately gets co-opted into opportunism, and he can't help himself.
Perfect.
He's like the Wile E. Coyote.
But I think that's perfect, and I think again, the podcast, when he decides to do the 8114 podcast, right? It is not sort of at first this thing that he's like, oh my God, I'll get a mail. It's literally like, some might even say, I don't know who these some would be, but as the author, I would say some might say that if you reread the scene where Chief Allen makes the comment about him doing a podcast, that might actually be the property itself influencing Paul's decisions. And I don't know. Who's to say? Who's to say? I don't know. I don't know. But so it's like, he's not doing that out of like this cold black heart. He's like genuinely like, I want to know what happened to Kyle. I want to know. And then it's like you see later, well, wait a minute. Maybe he has jumped into things too quick and he's rapid firing and he's not thinking about, in the funeral, the showing's a perfect example of that, where like he's so blinded by what he's doing and what his purpose is that he hadn't even stopped to think about Kyle's parents, right? Like these people who have been beautiful to him. And so it's like,
scene, by the way.
yeah, yeah. And I think, but I put that, I genuinely, those are like real. I put myself in that situation of like, the guy in real life who is Kyle's based on, and his parents who like were like, and I was like, what would they do in this? And I know exactly what they would do this scene, and that's the thing is, yeah. So go ahead and defend Paul. I'm not defending Paul. Yeah. You want to hang? Are you saying you want to hang out with Paul? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Sorry.
Prank call. I'm stopping recording right now.
Me?
Oh, I can see the headlines now.
You're the first person canceled for wanting to hang out with like a fictional character.
Hull, you son of a bitch. First, you make me an insomniac.
Fucking Paul Early, Patrick Bateman. That's our fucking dinner party.
God damn you. And I happily led myself right into it.
Yeah. You did that. Thank you. The curse of 8114 strikes again. There you go. Now you're kidding.
Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about the folklore. So, okay, we have a chapter titled "The Hanging Baby," which delights me to no end. Talk about some parents that are going to be a little put off. But like I said, buy a ticket, take the ride. We've got the Blackened Lady. We've got the Circle of the Light and the Women of the Light. Yep. I have to ask you, and forgive me for not knowing this, are these all creations of your own imagination, this folklore, or is it based in some of the history of Pendleton?
Ooh, okay. So I've been real cagey about what I'm going to answer.
Okay,
but, no. So I'll tell you. I keep saying, and since I know the book scared you so much, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Is that the Hanging Baby is real?
Oh, okay.
The Blackened Lady is very real.
Ah, no.
The Blackened Lady has shown her. The Blackened Lady is currently like, genuinely like haunting my mom and my girlfriend right now. Like they have both had experiences with her in the past like 6 months or so. Like my mom just had an experience with her like last week. She called me up so mad. So. In the Enlightenment, they are a real group. The Saturday Night Club that turned into. Now, I did have a little bit of fun with how they evolve as a group, because there was a place called Witch's Circle in Daleville that we used to go to all the time. As it was the creepy, like, how far can you get into Witch's Circle? And it's like a real. And so I wanted to tie that into it just for personal, like, but the Hanging Baby actually happened. We saw with the friend who was actually inspired, who Kyle's inspired by. Like we were up in the big barn, and we heard a big bang, and we all looked up, and we just saw this baby swinging from the rafters, and it was terrifying. And then the Blackened Lady is we've all had our own experience where, like, I mentioned this in the afterword of the book, but there's a lot of things that happen in that house that, like, I would talk about, and I came from a big family. That was the other thing. Like, I couldn't actually write the book about my entire family because there's like 7 of us children, right? Like, I come from a big, like, and so I'm like, that's like a 600-page book, right? If I'm trying to do that, so I had to decide early on. It was not gonna be about a family, but plus there's plenty of books with that, that setup. But I had no idea that, some things I would experience, and I'd ask, and then my brother's sister would look at me like I was an idiot, and my sister, like a younger sister, her and I were very close in age, so we experienced a lot of the same stuff. But it was like one of those things where it's like, wait, my older siblings aren't seeing a lot of this stuff. So are we just like kooky, like 9-year-old, 8-year-olds who like we want to believe, right? And and then you just kind of go on with these experiences. And so I wrote about the black ladies in the book because I've had many experiences with her. And my youngest brother he did not read like an early draft of the book. So I don't, he might not even, he still probably needs to read it. But when I was talking about some of the stuff that was in the book and that I put in the book, he just randomly via text was like, "Oh yeah, and there's a black haired lady who roams around the house in rooms and follows you." And I was like, "She's in the book." And he was like, "What do you mean she's in the book? Like you've seen that, you know?" And it was like very, very,
Oh
very spooky,
God.
very eerie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately for you, she's real. She's very real.
I was
good luck
really
my
hoping
sleep.
you were
Good
going to
luck
say I
your
made it
sleep.
all up.
No, no, I did not make it all up.
I
I
kind of
did.
love that.
Yeah, I've told that. I've told that. I've said people will be surprised at what is real in this book, and a lot of this book is actually real stuff. Like a lot of this book is real stuff. Yeah,
Well, you know what? Okay, from a creative artistic standpoint, I know that it lent itself to what you made, which is
yeah, yeah.
phenomenal. But God damn it. Okay, now I have to deal with this in my life.
You,
Okay.
you know what? My perfect response to this though is this: every time somebody has this response, I say you should try living there. I lived
Yeah.
there, right? Like
There.
you had to read about it in a book. I had to live there for 20 something years, right? Like you
Well,
know,
were you constantly? You couldn't have been constantly scared. It just probably just became a thing.
yeah, yeah, it was that. You know, I think there were some nights that were like really terrifying and really scary, and but it becomes just a normal thing, right? And it does become sort of that very much for my group of friends, and was very much like, let's do the sleepovers, let's do the like we want to do a sleepover at house. We would always try and do, we're going to sleep over, we're going to spend the night in the barn, like we're going to sleep in the barn, and
Big
instead of
sunrise?
the big barn, not the pig barn. We would stay away from the
Yeah,
pig
I
barn.
didn't think so.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why the pig barn is written the way. No, that pig barn can fuck all the way off. Like, but we would always say, we should sleep in the barn tonight. We should sleep in the barn. And we would always get, and it'd be like 1:30 in the morning too. And they'd be like, are we really doing this? And they'd be like, yeah, 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 we're doing it. And then it'd be like
Oh,
20 more minutes. And we're like, fuck this. Let's go inside. Like why we still
no.
can, you know? And there'd be like a lot of that. And so it was always like the exciting place to go hang and spend a night, because like you never knew what would happen. And like and everybody, all my friends had their own creepy experiences. Everybody, like we would be playing the game Ghost in the Graveyard.
Well, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, we would play in the pig barn. As you know, in the book, it has a upper section. And specifically, and this almost made the book, but it just couldn't squeeze it in. But we were playing Ghost in the Graveyard one night, and my friend Glenn hid up there, and we were like, couldn't we were the game had just started, really, like, and he comes out, and we're like, what are you doing? He's like, nope, I'm done playing.
I'm out.
I hid up there. Never, you will never see me enter that building ever again. And we were like, what happened? He was like, I'm not talking about it. And it was like, and from that moment on, it was like, oh, okay, like maybe don't play Ghost in the Graveyard with like real ghosts. Like we gotta, like,
Yeah.
somebody's gonna win that, and it's not gonna be us, right? And yeah, so yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, you
great
can
house,
play
great house.
Bring Alivio or something like that. Yeah. What Ghost in the Graveyard? All right. Let's talk haunted houses.
Let's do it.
'Cause essentially, look, the whole town is haunted, but we're talking about the house, we're talking about the barn. What kind of haunted house do you appreciate? Like when you're looking for movies and novels, what do you gravitate towards? Because there are different variations of haunted houses.
I think it's a great question, because I'm like, I don't. It's weird for me because I, with my experiences at that property, it's very like me going into this genre of like books or movies is very different, because I love them. I should not love them, right? Like but
Oh,
I genuinely love. I think,
you're writing rom-coms.
yeah, I should be writing rom coms. I'm gonna do a rom com about a ghost in 8114 who meets just got a bunch of new residents. So there's gotta be a meet cute somewhere in there. Some of those people are already married, though, so it won't work. Gonna be a lot of swinging at 8114. So I really love The Conjuring. The first one in particular, I think is a masterpiece, and I really love how they did the family, and that's just like genuinely like the coming from a big family, coming from a family like Amityville was always a big one with us as well. Poltergeist is tops for me,
Yeah.
and I think it's just what I want is to see it I'll go for like the realism, right? Like and I want to see a family struggling with it. Like here, my biggest problem with like Insidious, right, is and I love Insidious, but the problem is it's not realistic because like they just buy this house and it's very clearly they have no money. They just spend all their money, and then it's like so quick they're able to get like this new house, right? And I'm like,
Yes.
I know I want to see the broke family that can't afford to leave,
We got
and
to
they have to be stuck with these things, right? And so that's what I really appreciate about the some of these like Poltergeist. Even the remake kind of references that point of how they don't have much, like they're kind of stuck in there. And then,
Yeah.
obviously The Conjuring references how they spend all their money. Like they can't, like it's easier for them to find the Warrens than
Yeah.
it is to pack up and move, right? And so, yeah, I just like a bit of realism and a bit of like that family touch. I think is really what I think elevates that subgenre itself to a better place than just I love a good haunted house like jump scare, but I love, I mean, I'm like, we love characters, right? Like we love characters, and we need, and so that's the thing is I want to see people going through it with the people that they care about most and seeing how they elevate and get through that, or sometimes if they don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sometimes they don't. I couldn't agree with you more. I love that family dynamic when they're put in those circumstances. Poltergeist being my favorite.
Yep. Yep.
You have a movie which I think is phenomenal, like The Changeling with George C. Scott,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a
Mm-hmm.
solitary figure figuring it out on his own. And it's still an incredibly fantastic movie, but it's a little less than because it's just him, you know?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
the stakes are so much less, but when you
Yep.
have a family of three, four, six, eight,
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
all of a sudden you're like, what's going to happen to Bobby? You know? And
Right, right, right. And then it's like nobody gives a shit about Bobby, right? But what's going to happen to like, and that's the thing. Yeah, but that's a great thing about horror in general is like, if you that for all subgenre and everything is like, you give us something to care about and root for, we're going to be there. We're going to be there till the end, and sometimes you have characters where you don't want to do that for.
well, I want to point out that you're also an incredible screenwriter as well. Glorious was
Oh, thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Huge fan of Rebecca McKendry.
Yep. Yep.
She did an incredible job. I
Yep.
mean, it was so much fun. The premise alone, it's just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
what I love about the movie is just like, a Lovecraftian entity in a rest stop
Yeah.
and with a glory hole.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've seen people refer to it as a haunted glory hole movie, and I'm like, no. That's what I'm writing in 10 years, right? Like I gotta merge my universes here. Yeah,
doing Stephen Graham Jones with your fucking rest stop stories. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
Nat
yeah.
Cassidy. And Nat
And that,
Cassidy,
yep, yep.
you know,
Yeah, it was, yeah, not, yeah. We were talking about how, gosh, somebody said that we should be on a panel where we're just talking about the horrors of like stopping at random rest stops, and that made me laugh. 'Cause I love Matt, and I think, I just, his books are so good, and it's just like it just even to be like, oh yeah, I would love to just talk with him.
If it makes you feel any better, Joshua, I it was like the second time I had interviewed Nat, and he sent me the arc of Rest Stop, and I read it, and then we had the interview, and he showed up, and I was already recording, and I immediately said, "Fuck you," and he said, "Oh,
Good. All right. Good. Good company then. Yeah, I appreciate it.
you made me scared of bathrooms. You made
Yeah.
me. He
Yeah.
took away so many things I love. I love a road trip. I love a snack stop at a
Yeah. Yeah.
7-Eleven or a Wawa. I love a good bathroom break. He
Yeah.
took
Yeah. Yeah.
those things
Not
away.
anymore. Not anymore. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Now you join.
You just rolling around road trips in diapers and shit. Like you're just like I'm not doing anything. No
Well,
stops.
you've topped him though because now you've made me scared of the entire state of Indiana. I will never
Well, that's
ever.
fair though. I'm doing favors. Like I am genuinely doing favors. Nobody ever needs to come to Indiana probably. But yeah.
So, all right, tell me a little bit. We've got the launch of the novel on the 26th.
Yep.
This interview will be posted that day. I'm gonna write
Cool.
up the review of 8114 this week. I think you're gonna like it, and you just let me know how we can support you going forward because you've more than earned it. You know, this
Oh, I
is
appreciate that.
phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean the book's coming out on the 26th. It's been really a phenomenal experience, and Clash have been wonderful to work with. So right now it's just kind of pre-order the book. Well, I guess yeah, this is going to air the day the book comes out. So go get the book, rent the book, go to your library, get the book.
But Joshua, don't you worry though, because I posted last week and I told everybody, hey, get on it. Pre-order this book.
Mhm.
It's the real deal. This thing's a
Thank
banger.
you.
You got
Thank
to
you.
get on it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, any events coming up that you need us to support or promote? Because I know there's got to be something to get the word out.
There's some. There's a little. I'm taking a little easier on this one. I went really hard on mouth, and so I'm so right now it's or August 30th at Barnes and Noble in Noblesville. I'll be doing a signing there with them, and that's kind of it at the moment. It's really just kind of enjoying this one and taking it easy
Good for you.
and having a lot of fun with the reactions online and being cussed out. It's a lot of fun, and so yeah. So I figured I should probably limit my visibility and my in-person events until I see what the actual anger
Yeah.
is. Until I see a bunch of readers showing up with nooses and stuff, and they're like,
You're
"Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
is it
yeah.
okay?
Let's see how you like it." Yeah, and I'll be like, "Shit, shit." But no. Yeah. So Barnes and Noble, August 30th, Noblesville. And then other than that, I'll just be kind of online. I'll be around online,
I
just hanging
follow
out.
you. I love you.
That's what I do. I
Yeah,
just hang out.
keep it going. Hey, look, I have to ask this just because I'm a movie guy as well. Any
Yep.
screenplays that you're working on?
Yeah. I'm always working on stuff. We're Rebecca and I have a new movie that we've been the Glorious team, essentially a big chunk of the Glorious team have been working on since Post Glorious. It's sort of a John Carpenter, Coen Brothers s type vampire thing. So if people like what we did with Glory Holes, they might like what we do with vampires. And yeah, lots of stuff in the works. It's just the industry's still coming back from the strikes and from the fires, and so it's a lot of things have been slowed down on that front. But I'm working on stuff every day. I'm sort of writing a lot. I've written the Dream Project that when I started writing screenplays, I was like, that's what I want to do, and I actually got to do that. And so, there's a lot of cool things happening because of Glorious and just because of cool opportunities that happen. And so yeah, I'm always working on something. How soon they all see life or come to life, or if they ever come to life, that's another thing. But we're hard at work. We're
All
trying.
right. I'm glad. Hey, look, don't forget to have some fun. And just
Yeah,
me
yeah,
and
yeah.
you tonight, I don't think I have to worry about that. You're rad as hell. So
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I know you probably get after it and have a good time, but anything that you do, I will be front and center, and I'll make sure that all of the readers and viewers of Macabre Daily are on board as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Really, really appreciate the love for the book and really appreciate the support. And this was super fun.
You earned it. You absolutely earned it. It is one of the scariest damn books that I have read, and I can't remember how long. So you've earned it, and
I'll
I'm
take it. I'll
still
take
so
it.
mad at you.
Well, I'll send you. I'll send you. I'll go out to the actual property and I'll
Well,
just
thank you.
find like the strings of black hair and I'll send them to you and I'll be like I'm just gonna start haunting people like sending wallpaper from the actual house. Yeah,
Great.
like
Now
it's
I'll
gonna be
keep my
great.
mailbox. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's just gonna be you're gonna open it and she's just gonna be sitting there peering like looking at.
Joshua, come on, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I cannot wait to have you back on. I'm going to think of something. I just want to talk to
All
you.
right. Yeah, yeah. Anytime, anytime. This was
Have a
great.
great night. Thanks for everything tonight. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Take it easy.